Welcome to Renata Leuffen Corporation. I am Renata Leuffen, and today we want to look at childhoods, destroyed childhoods that destroy our adulthoods, and how we can stop this madness. Many of us are constantly looking back and constantly talking about what happened maybe 20, 40, 30, 50 years even ago, when we were children, when we were young adults, how our parents mistreated us, our teachers, how everything was just bad and against us, and how we suffered, and what we didn't have, and so forth and so forth. It is true that many of us did not have a good childhood. It is true that many of us did not receive any love or enough love. It is true that many of us have been neglected. But it does not do us any good looking constantly back, and it does not do us any good constantly talking about what happened with us, to us, what was done to us, and then looking for people who provide for us, looking for people who give us money, looking for people who give us food, accommodation, looking for people to just have pity on us, to believe our sad, bad stories, and to help us out. What we got to do, what we got to learn, is to be fully responsible for our own lives. We are responsible for how our lives are turning out now as adults. And we have no excuse looking constantly back and being constantly in conversation with our past. We got to stop our past talking to us. The only choice, the only chance that we have is to create a wonderful present and a really wonderful future for us. And we cannot do this if we constantly look back. If we constantly look back, what happens is that we drain the life that we have out of us. It means that we constantly feel powerless and as victims, but we are not victims if we decide to be free, if we decide to overcome, if we decide to focus our attention on how we want things to be. So it doesn't make sense constantly engaging our minds and wiring our brains to how things were like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, and what happened to us and what was done to us. Because then we create the expectation that these things, these bad things, will repeat themselves in our lives. It makes much more sense to turn away from the past, to really let loose and go of the past, because we can't change the past, but we can influence and change our present and our future. So let us take responsibility and let us start talking about other things than our past. Let us start talking about who we are, what our dreams are, what we want to do with the rest of our lives. And it is true that we suffered, and it is true that we were misunderstood, and it is true that we were not loved. Maybe our parents even hated us. And it is true that our parents failed us, and the education system, our teachers and family and so forth. But I had a very bad childhood. My mother wanted to abort me. The abortion didn't work. My father died when I was a baby. I contracted typhus B when I was a baby because of neglect. My mother had to work, and the person who looked after me didn't really look after me. My mother married a man who was 25 years older, constant crawls at home, constant moving from here to there. I never stayed in a place really for long. Constant unhappiness and fear at home. Then my mother enticed me to work as a prostitute for some time as well. I took drugs. I was even a drug dealer for some time. I revolted and rebelled in school, and had problems here and there and everywhere with myself, with life, with others. I couldn't find a way. I couldn't see a way. But am I complaining? Am I constantly looking back? No, because it doesn't make sense. When I look back, I look at the beautiful moments I had, like summer. I'm walking through the hills. The hills are filled with flowers. I pick flowers. Then there are poodles and beautiful blue butterflies flying over them, and the hills and the views and the air and the sunshine. So let us focus on the good, and let us really erase the bad out of our lives, and let us stop looking for other people to rescue us, to help us, and to be our mothers and fathers, which we never had. We got to stand on our own feet, and this means we got to support ourselves, and we got to generate a good living, a good income for ourselves as well. Because if we constantly talk about the past and look at the past, what we do is we destroy the people who we chose to take care of us, or the people who happen to be there and moved by our stories, and now they're providing money, food, and perhaps even accommodation and other things for us. We are hurting these people. We are not fair to those people. And we are actually destroying their lives, because what we do with them is not right. We got to give and we got to take, and there got to be a really adequate and fair and just balance. We cannot just sit on our ruined past and bring the past constantly into the present and have relationships which are unworthy of our true being. Because if we rely on other people to constantly supply, to constantly do things for us, we lead the lives of losers. We lead inferior lives, and that is not right. So, what is the option that we have? What is the best choice that we should make? Embrace the present, embrace the future, and put the past aside. We cannot forget the past, but we can stop thinking and talking and dwelling in our past on a daily basis, and we can just move away from these things. Let us create a revolution of love. Let us create a revolution of liberation, of freedom. Let us create a revolution for peace. Let us create a revolution for justice. Let us embrace and love our present and our future. We are worth it. We deserve it. We deserve to be free, and we deserve a good life. Yeah.